Well, today's guest on Absolutely Famous is Chief Super Rugby team manager and manager of the New Zealand 15, which recently played Ireland and England in the UK, Marty Vercoe. Marty, thanks for coming on the show, mate, and I bet that was an awesome trip to the UK.
Yeah, it was as advertised. Yeah, really good on and off the field, and great to take a bunch of players away, highly motivated, but obviously to make that next step, which is for them would be, four internationals, the All Blacks, and it's a step above Super Rugby. So, and also, getting over to the Northern Hemisphere for a Northern tour after NPC, massive. So, yeah, there's a lot of interest in obviously the All Blacks wherever you go, and especially that's heightened in a place like Ireland and London. So, it was an honour, and it was a great trip.
Oh, great honour for yourself too, Marty. Congratulations on being selected. I mean, you're representing your country in the managerial role, really, and it's one step down from the All Black job, I guess.
Yeah, it's obviously had a long time with the New Zealand 20s, so it was a good progression to go up into a full men's New Zealand team at the All Black 15 level. So the guys, both the staff and the players, really easy to work with. But yeah, really satisfying professionally. I had a great time, and it makes you hungry to want to go on a similar tour again. So, but also makes you hungry to get back to super level. So it wasn't hard getting back to lovely Cambridge where I live, and then Hamilton into base here at Ruakura, and getting teeth back into it when I got back.
It'd be extra special overseas with your best mate, one of your best mates being the coach, Leon McDonald. How did that go?
Yes. Yeah. No, obviously, it's just coach manager when we've got the tool belt on. But yeah, we managed to spend a wee bit of time together. Probably the best QT was about 6 in the morning, especially when we weren't sleeping so well when we first got over there. But yeah, there was normally a flat white waiting for him when he came down to the lobby. And no, we've worked together a lot. So and professionally, we know how each other works. So that made it pretty advantageous for the team, I think. And we had a pretty clear guideline that comes from him, what he wanted to do, and I think that really showed, especially in that first week against Ireland. So, he's a quality coach and professional. So, for me, it's just awesome working with him and the other staff. They're all top notch, and that's the reason why they're an All Black 15 is because they're best of the Super Rugby franchises. So, yeah, great working with them.
Yeah, good stuff. Yeah, the win over Ireland A in Dublin, 47-19. That was pretty impressive.
Yeah, it was funny. Probably that was the banana skin game we would have thought in some ways in terms of preparation and everything. We left Auckland on the Friday morning to play a game, basically the equivalent of Saturday morning New Zealand time. 8 days later, she's a bit of a haul over there via KL and Dubai. And yeah, the sleeping wasn't awesome. I think it was 2 hours on, 2 hours off for quite some time. But as people know, Ireland's a very special place. Fields are a little bit damp and soggy, but we were lucky. Overall the weather was really good. We found our why and really the purpose, and we're very motivated. And I think we managed to beat them physically, which is the key, especially the breakdown and whatnot. And yeah, everything turned to gold. And there's a lot of talent in that All Black 15. I think it's really good for New Zealand rugby, the depth there, because there was a lot of good soldiers left at home. That we had to change and whatnot. And even for the All Blacks that week, you'll remember against Japan, they had a lot of guys toing and throwing from that game. So that result was amazing. It was really special, and yeah, it was one of the highlights of my rugby career. I think had a couple of really good wins over the years, and that one would be be in the top half a dozen, I'd say.
Yeah, fantastic performance. How did you find the Irish? They'll be talking themselves up a bit for the World Cup next year, or the ranked number one.
I think they're very motivated. It's interesting, I think there's something in that. Like the Irish got a really strong Island A program, like they've been to South Africa. It meant a lot to them, like Andy Farrell's actually coaching them, and he looked pretty brassed off afterwards and during the game. So I think they've put a lot of resources into that. And if you look at France, they've poured all their resources into under 20s, and they normally have quite a strong French Barbarians set up. So I think they've got a little bit of juice there that they can use by getting those guys up to speed. And there's a lot of cohesion then with the main team as well. Like they brought a big squad out here to play the Māori All Blacks and then the All Blacks. And I think that cohesion thing, so when they do play for their main team, is important. So, yeah, I mean, we probably, because it was really their players 24 to 46 we played, because, the other 23 played South Africa the next day. We played them. So, yeah, I think they really had a big onus on that match. We played them, and they've obviously got a good system going there.
Yeah, and of course a narrow loss to the Barbarians in London, 31-35. The result disappointing, I guess, but still some pretty spectacular tries in that game.
Yeah, it's really hard. I mean, we're all, I was going to say, selfish is a word that comes to mind a little bit in terms of, the results you want. That one really hurt. It hurt for everybody involved, because anytime you put a black jersey on, for those people that have been in a changing room, it really hurts. Like, you really do feel as though you've let the nation down, because rugby is so important to New Zealand. So anytime you've got that silver fern on and you don't get a W, it hurts for a long time. Even now, like, it makes me go, the old skin crawl a little bit thinking of the result. But that's why, you want those people involved. I just wonder whether for New Zealand rugby, it did answer some questions though, because we come up against a gnarly sort of Northern Hemisphere team that got away with, some funky stuff with the breakdown physicality, and we couldn't match that, and you've got to adapt on the day, and we couldn't do that. The endeavour was there. And also we had a squad there. We had to play everybody. We wanted to play everybody, and that gained some great experience for everybody involved. So hopefully when they're in that furnace next time, a big stadium like Tottenham Hotspur against a really good team, that they learn how to get out of those situations.
There'll be some good banter after the game with Scott Robertson coaching the Barbarians and Leon coaching the New Zealand 15.
Yeah, it's quite a good spread there. So I was dedicating a lot of my focus to that. I think we're up on the ninth floor there at Tottenham Hotspur Stadium. But yeah, the thing is actually, it was actually the players knowing each other. There was a couple of ex-Chiefs there, so catching up with them, and there's obviously a brotherhood in Chiefs land and in other super franchises. When you see people overseas, it's good to speak about home, and a lot of those guys were interested how 2023 would be for the Chiefs and whatnot. So yeah, it was sort of like a who's who afterwards. There was, plus the food, was a pretty busy aftermatch for some of us.
Yeah, I bet. Yeah, I'm sure it didn't end at the food either, just quietly. But the other thing, Marty, obviously some real talent in that New Zealand 15. Is there two or three players that in your mind sort of really shone and really put their names out to become All Blacks in the next few months?
It's a funny one. I get asked this question a lot with New Zealand 20s as well. I think sometimes, there's two questions there. The ones that have got the most talent, and ones then, because of the position they play in or the lack of depth in the All Blacks, who are going to be All Blacks. Over the years, there's players we thought, they're going to be an All Black. But, Will Jordan, for example, we probably thought he was going to be an All Black before he was. But there's so much depth in the back three in New Zealand. So it took a long time. And you look at some of those guys in the back three, your AJ Lambs, Ruben Loves, amazing potential, but there's a backlog of quality before them at the moment.
Yeah.
So whether they'll make it, there's some guys that were outstanding the first week against Island A, and then when you had the gnarly veterans who were a bit more physical, and stopped them in their tracks, they weren't as dominant.
Yeah.
So they'll learn a lot about that.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, you look at the average age of that team, and there is a lot of excitement. Maybe not here, because I think, obviously the All Blacks are pretty, and rightfully so, because they want to improve that cohesion and got they're probably their set up already, apart from the odd, injury and that's pretty settled now. But definitely for 2027, I think there's a bright future with some of the lads we took over there.
Yeah, fantastic. And of course, you've got your Chiefs hat on now, I see in the background, and on the wall there, very impressive logo, the Chiefs one. Obviously, some real talent in your squad as usual. This year, a lot of experience and a lot of exciting youngsters.
Yeah. No, just doing a little bit of, I'm supposed to be Christmas shopping, but just tucked into work. It's really important. Obviously, you can't lose an hour. It's Super Rugby's a massive competition, and we've got to be a lot better than what we've been, and we freely admit that. You can't just say, we want to get to the top. We want to beat the Crusaders. We want to jump above the Blues. You just can't say that. You've got to actually work out a way of doing it. And obviously, we've got a few plans in place, but that will mean working harder and obviously being a lot more clinical. I think we ruffled a few feathers the last 2 years, but we need to be a lot more clinical, and hopefully a bit of maturity in our squad will, help that. We've got the youngest Super Rugby side this past year, and it'll be similar next year. So, but in terms of experience, we're not going to be the youngest, so that's important. We started about a month ago with a couple of weeks of volunteer. That was great. 80% of the boys came in. 95% of the boys that are based here were here. So that's massive. That's a real tick in the box of the lads. And then we've had 2 weeks full on pre-season. So we're looking, I think, really strong. But we're just going to make sure that we live up to our end of the bargain and control what we can control. And I think we'll be, up there.
How's Peter Gus-Suakula? I thought he was very harshly dealt with by the All Black selectors during the season. To me, what I saw, he played pretty well against Ireland in his debut. But has he bounced back now? Has he sort of got his chin back off the ground? And
yes, no, he bounced in here sort of a month ago. So he's one of the guys there 2 weeks, off his own volunteering. So I think that answers your question. He's in really, really good shape. He's got Piniasi Mali, another Fijian boy, Amoni Narawa. Those three are running amok around here in terms of sidestepping and throwing balls and whatnot, and clarity games and whatever, and stuff like that. So they're a great energy around here, and I would expect Peter Gus to be Peter Gus in Super Rugby. He gets motivated in his own way. He's actually quite a hard book to read. His cover's different than the sheets in the book. So he'll be motivated. Obviously, he's signed a contract at the end of 2023, but that doesn't mean that he won't necessarily make the All Blacks for the World Cup. That's his motivation. I'd say so by everything I've heard. So you expect him to be at his best at Super Rugby.
Good stuff. And of course, you've got a really interesting signing, Island prop John Ryan.
Yeah, he's a top man, family man. Obviously, a bit of time in the making to get that signing across the line. And a lot of that was due to, obviously, John being in Munster already, playing a bit of European rugby. And also it's a big shift. He's got 2 young children, a wife who's very supportive as well, and another baby. I've been joking that it's the 2048 Chiefs tight end prop in January. So, it's a bit to get that across the line. But his deal at Munster obviously finishes in late January, so he'll be here February. And with Angus Tarvell, looking like he won't make the starters line for Super Rugby. Sione Mafaleo's injured as well. It's important that we've got a cornerstone of that scrum. It's no indictment on Atumoli or George Dyer or any young players around New Zealand, but Super Rugby is Super Rugby. And you need a good tight end to lock that scrum down. And in key times and key matches, that's what we want to go to as well.
Great to see Anton Leonard-Brown back, and of course, what's the progress on Josh Lord, the brilliantly talented young lock?
Yeah, no, Anton and Damien, I've seen them floating in our facility. It just shows what professionals they are. They're obviously, not necessarily back until the new year to get full on into training, but they're here, 2 or 3 times a week. Their body's their machine, and they're great professionals. Lordy, him and Gideon Rampling, who's the same age as Lordy, just 21, they're 2 outstanding young Chiefs, and they'll be, the cornerstone of our franchise for a long time. They've spent most of our winter and now into our summer rehabbing. Haven't missed a day. They're actually out in the gym now. When I snuck in, that's a testament to them. Lordy, should be hopefully available, mid-half to the middle of Super Rugby. His hair's got big. He's got quite a big mullet, so that's something to look for when he comes back.
Love the mullet.
Him and Gideon Rampling, I think, are 2 guys, they're better than 2 new signings in the middle of the season. So, watch out for those 2. They're lads.
And of course, as you mentioned, Damien McKenzie, he just adds so many options for you on attack. He's a freak, isn't he, really?
Yeah, the smiling assassin. He's a good man. He, isn't it great? And I know there's probably a bit of scepticism for the All Blacks 15, but isn't it great? Like a guy like that can play 2 international games, that he might not have been able to play otherwise. And so other key guys in that New Zealand team. So, for example, if the All Blacks did get another ding when they're overseas or anything like that, those guys can step in. And it was great for Damien to have those games over there to showcase what he can do. But yeah, he's the great thing about, I think, our All Blacks and our elder statesmen and the Chiefs is their desire for the Chiefs to do well. That's so motivating for everybody here, under the roof here.
Yeah, and another guy who pretty much impresses every time he runs onto the field for whichever team is Alex Nankerville, midfielder. I mean, I haven't seen him play a bad game.
No, it was awesome. He came on against Ireland and played really well, and was probably our best against the Barbarians for the All Black 15 in that first half. So, yeah, he definitely, I think it was a high ankle sprain. He was waving his arms and signalling. I knew something wasn't right from the sideline because he would have wanted to keep going. But I think old Nant knew that his day was over. So that was really, really bad. But, yeah, and then, yeah, he had a bit of time off in Europe. He promised me he looked after his high ankle sprain in the moon boot when that was happening. I did check in every couple of days, to be fair, by WhatsApp. And he's come back. We've seen him a couple of times. We had a Mr. Whippy the other day on the last day. He managed to arrive for that. But yeah, he's looking well. He'll rehab well, and he'll be back with us early January. And yeah, expecting big things from him, especially with Quinn being injured. And Tapai, he'll be massive in our midfield.
Yeah, and I take it you sent your champion coach Warren Gatlin off back to Wales in good fashion. Has he gone yet, or is he?
He popped in the other day. I saw him. I threatened to take him on the golf course again. He normally comes on the golf course with us, but I call him Mr. Boring on the golf course because he doesn't hit he doesn't hit much rough. He just chips it up the middle. It was pretty fleeting because it actually gets. He's obviously had media stuff flying back to the UK, so it'd be good to have his frequent flyer miles at the moment. But we will. He's obviously a massive part of our organisation and a mentor to a lot of us. So we will obviously shuffle the decks a little bit with our coaching group and Clayton and the other coaches. Probably suspected at some stage this would happen with a guy with his ilk, with positions coming up in international rugby. You're not going to have gets forever. So yeah, we always do here. We haven't yet, but we will at some stage send him off in style. Good
stuff. Well, Marty, thanks for coming on the show, and excuse me, I wish you and your family all the best for Christmas. Are you heading away somewhere for holiday?
Yeah, well, every second year we go to Twizel in the beautiful Mackenzie country.
Gorgeous place.
Yeah, that's down at my wife's in-laws for the week-long job interview for me. But this holidays we're going back to Marlborough, so seeing Sue and Gary Vercoe and a few other usual suspects.
Legends.
Marlborough Sounds for a few days, but yeah, back for New Year's because after New Year's we're back into it here. So back the 24th December to Marlborough, and then back here about the 30th. So it'll be good to get away. It's been a busy year, and yeah, to everybody else, yourself, Johnny, enjoy the time. Quick thought to anybody that's lost anybody this year or no other years, think of them and make sure you say I love you to all your loved ones.
Good on you, Marty. Thanks for the message. All the best for the Chiefs, and once again, congratulations on your career, the way it's heading.
Thank you. Cheers, buddy.
Thanks, Marty.